What's up, everybody? This is part two with myself, Jimmy Faluca, and my friend Frank from the NWO page. We are ready to continue our segments. Frank, you having fun so far?
Oh yeah, I'm having a ball.
Sounds good. Now, the next issue I have on my list is Daniel Bryan's popularity and his future. To me, it has been clear for months, from where I sit, and I think this is putting it lightly. It's been clear to me for months. Daniel Bryan is without question the most popular talent the WWE has had in a long time. And one of the reasons I say that is because top guys that at one time ruled this business got booed in favor of this apparently B plus little troll that has no right to be in a world title match. I'm talking guys like, and at one time each and every one of these guys was on top of the business and owned it. John Cena, Randy Orton, Triple H, Batista, and Shawn Michaels. All of these guys at one time were on top in the business. And every time they have looked across from Daniel Bryan in the opposite direction, they were all booed. That says a lot.
Well, like we talked about before, Daniel Bryan's become the poster boy of the new generation, and he's become the rallying cry for the fans. Their voice says that they want new faces, and they out with the old and in with the new. And it'll be interesting to see when and if he gets the belt. We'll see how.
Oh, absolutely. There's been a lot of speculation on that, and there's even been a lot of outcries from a lot of WWE Hall of Famers that, you want to know something? Some of the biggest names in our business that have said that Daniel Bryan is without a doubt has a world title in his near future. Guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin, guys like Jim Ross, who I listen to both their podcasts, and they're actually both very, very interesting. I enjoy Steve Austin's podcast. I enjoy Jim Ross's. I get updates whenever they do a new one every time that they upload it. And I recently listened to one between Jim Ross and Steve Austin, and Jim Ross asked Steve Austin flat out, would you have any problem if you were controlling the booking department of WWE? Would you have any problem putting the world title on Daniel Bryan? And Steve Austin, and I quote, said, hell no would I have no problem putting the strap on him and letting him run with it. And Steve Austin said a line that I feel is very, very important, and it basically explains my sense of urgency and why I consistently fight with people over this issue with Daniel Bryan. A slow burn is exactly what they're going with. I think that's pretty clear when it comes to Bryan's world title aspirations. It's a slow burn. However, that window of opportunity will only be open so long that if they wait too long, the fans they're not going to be on board with it as much as they are now.
I don't agree with that. Well, see, what you're saying is that he's going to lose steam. So what happens if he wins the belt? Is he going to lose his popularity in 2
Not at all. He will not lose his popularity. If anything, it'll increase. Because if they know, I firmly believe that if the fans are aware that this guy's got the belt, there's no screwy referee, not going to get stripped of the title, the guy's going to have a chance to run with it, you will see a celebration when that guy walks in with both belts that it will rival some of the celebrations that we've seen with that belt that actually meant something and weren't just a heel rubbing it in the face of the fans. What Steve Austin was trying to say is, you want to have this be a slow burn but eventually you do want to get to this payoff. He says you gotta give the fans the payoff because you don't want to do it. You don't want to wait so long that by the time you get to it, you lose half the people. Because sometimes in this business, you got to strike while the iron is hot. And now I'm going to give an example. And I am in no way saying that either of them were on the same level. Lex Luger, back in 1993, I believe, feuded with Yokozuna over the WWF title. Do you recall that at SummerSlam '93?
Yeah, that was because Hulk Hogan was doing movies and Lex Luger bombed as the champion, and he wasn't drawing, and they used Yokozuna as a transitional to give the belt to Hogan.
No, this is after Hogan left. This is past.
Yeah, and once he came back, see, he was so big that anytime he came back, the belt went on him, no matter who had it.
No, I understand that. I understand what you're saying with Hogan, but at this point, that when Lex Luger challenged Yokozuna at SummerSlam, Hogan was already gone from WWF because Yokozuna won the title from Hogan at King of the Ring.
Right.
And afterwards was SummerSlam. Now, Vince, I've heard plenty of reports of Vince saying, you know what, I want to wait until WrestleMania for Luger to win the title. But at the same time, he knew that Bret Hart was getting bigger and bigger with the fans. So that's why they had that double finish at the Royal Rumble with Bret and Lex Luger, because they wanted to see how the fans would react with both of them having their hand raised. When Lex Luger's hand was raised, the fans were kind of iffy about it. But when Bret Hart's hand was raised, they erupted. So that let Vince know. By the time they got to the Rumble, Luger lost all of his steam because Luger was over. But what happened was they waited too long, and nobody cared. Another example, when Goldberg came into the WWE, and he was into the Elimination Chamber at SummerSlam in 2003, ironically, the same pay-per-view, Goldberg was obviously the hottest guy they had. He should have won the Chamber match, beat Triple H for the belt. They didn't do it. When they got to Unforgiven, it was kind of a anticlimactic finish where the crowd really didn't erupt like you would expect. And that is my fear with
Dan. The infamous Triple H sledgehammer.
Yes.
Goldberg.
Yes. And
everything changed after that. Goldberg had the crowd behind him, just like WCW. And when Triple H took out the sledgehammer, that was it.
No, was it? And that is my fear, Frank. If they wait too long, this phenomenon they have, they're going to ruin. And I don't think that a talent like Daniel Bryan, who has worked his ass off in this business for 15 years, he has broken his ass and has given his life to the business. I don't care that he looks like Duck Dynasty. I don't care that he's 210 pounds soaking wet. I could care less. What matters is that every time he walks into a building, he controls that crowd.
Yes. When he does win, I think he will win. And they could go two ways. They could either continue to do the authority, trying to keep him down, or they could do 180 and have Triple H raise his hand and proclaim him the new face of the company. That
won't happen. Triple H ain't going to do that. But that's just my view. You may be right, and that may happen, but that would turn Triple H face, and honestly...
well, yeah, and then you could always have, the waiting game. Is Triple H sincere? Is the authority sincere? When are they going to screw him again?
Well, I personally feel that all of this Authority versus Daniel Bryan feud, I think it's going to culminate at SummerSlam in a Hell in a Cell match with Triple H. Because the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view is done. So I believe that that's what they're going to do. And that's how I would book it. I would book it to where the month before SummerSlam, Daniel Bryan gets screwed out of the title from Batista. Thanks to Triple H. And then at SummerSlam, you could have Batista versus Brock Lesnar. You could have your fantasy match. But I would have Triple H and Daniel Bryan fight inside the cell and have Triple H be defeated, and that ends the feud. They go their separate ways.
Well, you see, you keep bringing up these old names again. What if they just make Bryan defend against some of the new guys, some of the future stars? What if we have a Bryan versus Cesaro?
I would totally be happy with that. I'm just saying that the feud would be completely finished by then, is what I'm saying. The tension between Triple H and Daniel Bryan would be completely done because it's a year to the date that the feud started. And that's where I would have it end. Like, an example. Edge and The Undertaker. Their feud started, obviously, when Edge cashed in, but then that kind of got put on the sidelines due to Edge's injury. But when's the next time you saw Edge? He screwed The Undertaker out of a Hell in a Cell win against Batista. Where did the feud end? Inside Hell in a Cell against each other. So I just feel, that's how I would end it. But
you just said something. That's what you have to be afraid of. What if Daniel Bryan gets hurt, legit hurt, and then he loses his steam?
that would be detrimental to his career.
And if you remember a few months ago when he had the concussion, it looked like that was going to happen.
He dodged the real. Daniel Bryan should say his prayers and thank whoever's up there because he dodged the big bullet with that.
But on the flip side of that coin, anybody could get hurt at any time. So you can't make plans around injuries because injuries.
Absolutely not. But I'm just saying that I would end his and Triple H's issue 150% at least by SummerSlam. But he can't wait till SummerSlam to win the title. And that gets into my next point on the Daniel Bryan list. The fans are anxious for the payoff. They're tired of the screw jobs. They're tired of waiting. They've been patient since SummerSlam. They've been waiting since then for this payoff. And the payoff is not him beating Triple H. The payoff is him winning the title and getting to hang on to that. You saw last Monday night on Raw that when he was talking about challenging Triple H, the crowd was saying no. And now, most people will say the whole yes thing, it's just people are sheep and they'll just follow what other people are doing. This is happening week after week after week after week.
The only way they are going to salvage that match and salvage WrestleMania is if they have a stipulation where Bryan wins, he gets the shot of the title. And
that
if he
night,
loses, they can have a stipulation where he doesn't get a shot anymore. And of course, then he'll get over Triple H at WrestleMania. I think that you have to have the fans have hope and hang on to something that while he's wrestling Triple H at WrestleMania, that they're rooting for something. There's something to root for. You can't just have.
Well, I think that what should happen, and I'm going to be completely selfish, but you want to know what, Frank? I feel good knowing that I'm not the only one. I'm one of millions that feel this way. That the fans at WrestleMania 30 should go home happy. And the only way they're going to go home happy is if Daniel Bryan walks out of WrestleMania a true winner and as the champion. I understand that a lot of people think that because Batista's going to be starring in some film in the summer, that's going to help them out business-wise, but the fact is, he is not The Rock.
Right. I think the way to save WrestleMania, if they're not going to have Bryan win, is you put on the title match real early in the show.
And Triple H and Bryan close the show out.
Well, you got to work around the Undertaker Lesnar match because you don't want people to get. People are going to get tired. You can't have.
Absolutely, they'll be tired. They'll be tired, but I guarantee you, 80,000 people are going to be chanting yes when Daniel Bryan comes out. I mean, it's going to be pretty damn good to see Daniel Bryan get a reaction like that. And like I said, if WrestleMania 30 does not finish with 80,000 people chanting yes, then the WWE's got some serious problems because nobody wants to see Batista leave with the belt.
Even if he does, if they do it early, if Batista gets the belt early in the show, they get that out of the way, and then you have the last match with Bryan and Triple H with the stipulation that if Bryan wins, he gets the shot at the championship. I mean, the next night on Raw will be the start of the Batista-Bryan feud, and then you know for sure that Bryan is on his way to getting the title.
Well, like I said, everyone has different opinion on this whole payoff issue with Daniel Bryan. I believe the payoff is him winning the title, and I feel to wait longer than WrestleMania would be a big mistake on their part because the titles just got unified. How do the titles not close the show? The WWE's really put themselves into a rock and a hard place because they unified the titles. They made a big deal out of this whole thing, which, by the way, when they did have that ceremony that was filled with legends like Mick Foley, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Triple H. Whether I like it or not, John Cena is a legend. Who are the fans chanting for?
Of course. And like I said, this is the theme of our conversation: is that the fans want the new faces in, and Daniel Bryan is the poster child. I also mentioned this on the page. I always thought they should have made, if they were going to give Bryan a run with the championship, I thought they should have gave him the IC belt and gave him a long run with that. I don't understand why they don't do that anymore. If you remember back in the day, the second, even the most popular guy would carry the IC belt.
Absolutely. Guys from the Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, Ricky Steamboat, Steve Austin, Bret Hart.
Probably more over than Hogan at some point. So,
absolutely, Warrior was.
For Bryan,
see, the problem, Frank, is it's not the fans' fault. It's the way the WWE has portrayed that title. The way they treated it.
He could have added, it could have been legit again. You could have had, look at the possibilities. You could have had Bryan as an Intercontinental Champion going up against Cesaro, Bray Wyatt.
Absolutely, could have had great matches for that belt. And you want to know something? The Intercontinental title is one of the replicas I have hanging in my room because I understand what that belt used to stand for. That belt, like Steve Austin put, the guys that are getting ready for the world title get that belt and have the best matches on the card. I mean, I remember as a kid, Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Rocky the Rock was Intercontinental Champion. That belt meant something. And unfortunately, that belt has been so... It bothers me the way they treat their titles because it's like their titles are just props. It's like Vince Russo got what he wanted. He wanted the belts to just be props, and that's what they are, unfortunately. And I feel that the belt... Triple H says that the guy makes the title. I completely disagree. The title makes the guy.
It works both ways. It's all how you book it. And I really thought, they could have avoided all this crap with the hijacking Raw, hijacking pay-per-views. If they would have had the IC belt on Daniel Bryan, they would have had great matches, and it would have built him up even more on his way to the showdown with the champion. But who knows?
Well, yeah. Well, that gets into our next issue. WrestleMania 30 is coming up, and as of right now, the matches they have officially set, the only matches they have officially set, is Batista versus Randy Orton for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. That's the only match that is officially set. I hope that match is not what happens because the fans are going to... It's a disaster waiting to happen, Frank.
They have Cena and Bray Wyatt.
No, I'm talking that's officially been announced. I have another section where we'll talk about the possible matches that are going to happen, but officially... That's the match. That's the only match they have on the card. Obviously, there'll be more. But as of right now, that's the match they have announced. And like I said, I just feel that Randy Orton versus Batista for the titles is a disaster waiting to happen.
I think they could. We still have like 4 weeks to go, and they can always change the card up.
No, they always can, but they've really painted themselves into a situation where they're, whatever the end result is, and listen, the way I feel is this. If they let that match happen and they let that match close and the fans react the way they've been reacting, they get what they deserve.
Right. I think they know what they're doing, and I think, like I said, I think
they're
going to...
One thing Michael Hayes said on the Road Warriors DVD, which I would suggest to anyone, if you want a good wrestling documentary, get the Road Warriors DVD that was produced by WWE a few years ago. One of the best, to me, they're the best tag team of all time, the Road Warriors. I could talk about them for hours, the matches that they had with the Koloffs, the matches they had with the Horsemen, the feuds they had with Dusty and Sting. I mean, you and I, Frank, one time had that conversation about how the Warriors were one of the best, if not the very best, tag team in the history of the business. But there was a comment that Michael P.S. Hayes said on that documentary, and I take that comment very, very seriously, and I believe it. He said, you cannot bullshit the fans. They either feel you or they don't feel you. And they're not feeling Batista and Randy Orton. They're not.
Right. Not Not for the title. They want new faces. They are tired of watching these regurgitated matches.
Absolutely.
Finishes. It's just very transparent, you know.
Absolutely. And now the next part we have is the possible matches. Oh, and plus The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar has officially been announced. And that's a match I'm looking forward to. It's going to be it's going to be good. I have no doubt. The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar have had plenty of matches before, and all of them were good. I mean, the only time I ever was okay with The Undertaker losing a match was that Hell in a Cell match he had with Brock Lesnar, because that match was unfreaking real. You'll never see a Hell in a Cell match like that ever again, unfortunately. Two guys just duking it out inside the cage, bloodied and battered. I'm looking forward to it. Taker's going to go 22-0. Thank God.
Yeah, I think the build-up is going to be great. I think you're going to see one week. You're going to see Undertaker put Lesnar through a table. 1 week you're going to see Lesnar do something to Undertaker.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to see an old-school bloodbath at WrestleMania.
Oh, I would love to see that. I'll be honest with you. Now, as far as the potential matches they have for WrestleMania, to me it's clear they're going with Bray Wyatt versus John Cena, which to me I'm not complaining about that because it's a fresh match. Number one.
Yes, do you have Bray Wyatt go over Cena?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think you have to.
Bray Wyatt beat Daniel Bryan at the Royal Rumble clean. I wouldn't have changed that at all. I felt that was good. They needed to make him look strong for this match with Cena. I wouldn't change it. Wyatt got the winning fall in the six-man tag against the Shield. How the hell does Bray Wyatt lose this match?
Yeah, the Bray Wyatt's another guy that's building up, and I think you can't have him lose to Cena.
Absolutely not. You need to. It's like the whole Nexus thing. John Cena had a chance to make the Nexus and have them win. Jericho and Edge were telling him he didn't do it, and the Nexus flatlined. John Cena, his only job right now is to create new stars at the expense of his own victories. John Cena.
He's good at that. He put over Bryan at SummerSlam, and he put Punk over for a whole year basically.
Yeah, but you also have to remember, John Cena has never lost to Punk straight up. He never has. There was always some sort of interference or something shady that went on. Every single time that Punk beat him, there was something going on. Money in the Bank, John Laurinaitis distracted him. SummerSlam, Cena's leg was on the rope. Punk has never beat him clean.
Oh yeah, nobody really thinks about that. You know, he pinned him.
Unfortunately, I'm a detail freak. I guess me and Randy Savage would have gotten along. I think it's clear. I love Macho Man. I hope they put him in the Hall of Fame someday. He totally deserves it. We could sit here for hours talking about the Macho Man. I mean, he's the one that got me into wrestling.
Oh yeah, he was definitely my first time I ever saw the Macho Man was on during a commercial of Superstars. That was the show they used to have on the afternoon. And they showed this commercial. It was from another wrestling organization that he was in, and he power drove somebody through a table. And I was like, whoa, who is this guy?
Macho Man was cool. He was always cool to watch. But getting back to the possibility of WrestleMania, I think it's clear they're going with a three-way match with the Shield. I think it should.
Yeah, of course, Roman Reigns is going to go over, and I think after WrestleMania,
does he go over on Rollins or Ambrose?
Probably Ambrose.
I agree.
Ambrose is playing the part of the heel.
Because I think all three of them have great value.
Oh, they're definitely the future. I think they're definitely going to main event. Their main event is, I guess, Roman Reigns is the golden child of the future.
Well, because he's got the look, but I also think that Seth.
You see, I was very against Roman Reigns being labeled the golden boy because I really didn't see too much of him in the very beginning.
He has really improved since his debut, I have to say.
His mic's still improved, and he's really come up with he's got three really spectacular moves that get a pop.
Absolutely he does. And I'll tell you something. I enjoy Roman Reigns' work. I enjoy seeing the crazy stuff that Seth Rollins does. Every time I see Dean Ambrose, I always say he's got that slime to him, that villainous slime. Reminds me a little bit of William Regal.
Yeah, well, he's got also as far as he's got a little bit of Piper in him too.
Yeah, absolutely. Piper,
very slow, methodical in the ring. Doesn't really do a lot of wrestling moves. You know, he does a lot of punches.
Piper was always that guy you love to hate, and Dean Ambrose I could totally see in that role.
You remember Piper? Piper never really had. He was just a brawl. Like
absolutely, Piper was never a scientific wrestler. He was just a guy that he'd poke you in the eyes, he would gouge you, he would punch the hell out of you, and he'd slap that sleeper hold on. I mean, if you want to see
an incredible story during the match.
If you ever want to see a real fight with Piper, check out that dog collar match he had with Valentine at Starrcade. Oh my goodness!
Getting back to Roman Reigns, he's got three really over moves. He's got, of course, the spear that's really being built up as one of the strongest finishes.
Mm-hmm. The Superman punch.
The Superman punch, people go crazy for that. He's got that kick, that super kick from outside the ring. Where
the double drop kick, and then he lands on the apron. I mean, he makes it look easy.
That's an innovative move. See, that's what you need. You need something the fans have never seen before. That's what the fans want. You know? And of course, 4 years from now, the fans will boo that because they'll get tired of it.
Who knows? Who knows? But lately, this is an interesting time to be a wrestling fan because it's almost like the fans have been revolting against the status quo. The fans, like you said, they're starving for new faces. They're starving for new storylines. They're starving to get what they want. They want their Daniel Bryan payoff. They want John Cena and Randy Orton to step down. And let's be very honest, Frank. Guys like John Cena can't be put aside by other wrestlers because they've been pushed for so hard, so long. John Cena would have never got to the spot that he did if Stone Cold and The Rock didn't leave. If you notice, every generation, the top guys got on top because the other guys left. Hogan got on top because Bob Backlund left. Hulk Hogan left, Bret Hart went on top. Stone Cold got on top, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart left. And so on and so forth. John Cena has shown no signs of leaving. Neither is Randy Orton. And they're going to have to either be put in the mid-card or they're going to have to be put out to pasture, taken behind that barn, and have the trigger pulled. Because they're not going to be around forever.
He still has a lot to offer, and I think they are going to have to tweak his character somewhat. You know, he's going to have to evolve his character.
I've been saying that John Cena needs to tweak his character for years, and I'm not saying he's got to turn heel because, let's be honest, that ain't never going to happen. I've given up on John Cena ever being a villain, even though I know the guy's got it in him. The guy's definitely got a villain somewhere in him. If Hulk Hogan can turn into Hollywood Hulk Hogan, John Cena can have a bit of an edge to him. And I think the reason that John Cena is so disliked is because he represents that clean-cut babyface that grown-ups can't stand because they know it's bullshit. You know? And let's be honest, even if John Cena is genuinely a nice guy, and I'm sure he is, I got nothing but respect for the guy because he always cares about the business. And I cannot hate someone that cares about the business. But I think where his judgment is flawed, though, is that he thinks that his fans are going to be with him ride or die forever. And they're not.
Well, those 10-year-old fans are going to become 12 and 13 and 14, and their taste is going to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because let's be honest, what John Cena represents is everything that most adults are against. Because John Cena is the clean cut, I love everybody, I'm a nice guy, bullshit.
Yeah, he's very just like
it's like old Hulk Hogan and Superman all combined into one, and I'm sorry, but you know, crowds like that edge to it, and there's nothing edgy. There's nothing edgy about John Cena. And I think that's what it all comes down to. I think he's a victim of the times as well.
Right. Mike Morone, he made a good point that Cena is the squeaky clean guy of this generation. And it sometimes that grates against the fans, you know, because no matter what, he never slips up. He never says anything wrong. He's Mr. Perfect. And
hey, there's only one Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, well,
don't make Kurt Hennings Kurt Hennings turn over in his grave.
He won't go full evil like Hogan did when Hogan turned evil, but he would definitely maybe get a little more aggressive, and you know, maybe they could tease it. I remember a couple years ago. Remember when he was with when he teased it that one time? He came out and when Kane was telling him to embrace the hate. And I think it was Jack Swagger.
Oh yeah, that was one night that I was actually cheering for John Cena. I was like, kill him. Because when John Cena shows that edge, that's when the crowd gets into him. John Cena is too much of a good guy to ever pull the trigger on someone, and that's the problem.
Like
But
I said, maybe he doesn't have to go full evil like Hogan did, because I don't think John Cena has that in him, and I don't think he's good enough to do that and get away with it like Hogan is. Maybe just be a little bit more aggressive and just show flashes of a little anger, you know? Maybe lose this a little bit.
We could stand here all day and talk about that possibility, but at the end of the day, it's, he makes money doing what he does, and if that's the case, they're not going to change that. And unfortunately,
once his T-shirt sales start dipping, they'll change his character. And then, but then you'll have the whole reversal. All the people that love him will hate him, and all the people that hate him are going to love him.
Well, we'll see what happens. And, this is like I said, very interesting time to be a wrestling fan. We got WrestleMania coming up. Frank and I have reviewed everything on our list, and we thank everyone for watching. And we will see.
Yeah, let's hope more than 4 people watch.
Don't worry, Frank. I'm sure we'll get views. I'll post it.
It'll catch on, right?
It will, absolutely. We just got to stay consistent, Frank. We're having a good time. That's what it is. We had a good time. I had a great time doing this.
Yes, you have a great voice. The last show you did, I put it on. I fell straight to sleep, which is a compliment. I always put on shows with guys with good voices. I always fall asleep.
Frank, you're something else. But anyways, fellas, that's going to cut it for us for tonight, and we will see you guys at WrestleMania 30. Take care, guys.